It's not you, it's me. Well, no. Actually, it's you. Hey guys, thanks so much for joining me. I sure appreciate it. I have this whole little like tub up here full of some things I've decluttered. I went through my entire collection from eyeshadow to lip products to base products. I went through and did a decent declutter. I mean, this isn't a huge container, but I've done some damage. So let's talk about what I have decluttered from my collection. All right, y'all. I have to start this off with a question though. What do you guys do with makeup products, specifically lip products that you don't use, you don't want, they're barely used, maybe it wasn't a good color, maybe you didn't like the formula, couldn't return it, didn't return it, whatever the situation is. What do you do with those? I don't have family anywhere near me, and even if they were near me, my family doesn't wear makeup like you and I do, and the few people in my life that are willing to take it, I've already given them so much and they're like, no, thank you. Thanks, but no thanks. So I don't know what to do with them. I feel horrible just throwing them away because they're still full products. I don't know what to do. My local shelters only accept unopened, which I totally get, but the guilt is eating me alive. And I think that's part of why I haven't done a declutter, because I don't know what to do with the things that I've used once. So let me know what you guys do if you're in a similar situation, because like I will throw them away if I have to, because I know I won't use them, but I don't know what else to do with them. I feel insanely guilty. But anyways, let's just move on. So let's talk about what I've got in front of me. I have a little bit of everything. Let's just start with lip products. So first things here, I have, let's see, I have 4. These were the few lipsticks I was still hanging on to. I got rid of all my lipsticks earlier in the year because I knew that I'm not going to wear them. I'm not a lipstick person. I hung on to these 4 for either nostalgia or hope I might change my mind, but nope, I'm done. I'm ready to go. This is Revlon, and this is in the shade 80, Strawberry Shortcake. So I think we got this as like a wedding gift or something because it matched the wedding party. And it's a really pretty pink, but it is definitely a very vibrant pink, and I just don't wear this. I wore it, I think, one other time, and that was for an 80s themed party. So this worked perfect for that, but honestly, like, it's just been sitting in here and I don't know what to do with it. It's still full. I'm never gonna wear it again. Even for an 80s themed party, I have plenty of other products that are gonna give me that pink lip that is in a gloss, or like the NYX, these things, the NYX Slick Clicks. Those are kind of pinky. I would rather use those, so that's gonna go. Next up here is this NYC Red. This one's done some damage. I typically use it for Halloween costumes, but it's old. This one will be one that goes in the trash just because of the age of it. I'm not risking it for anybody for any reason, so that's just gonna go. I don't wear a red lip except for Halloween costumes. This year I want to get into more red lip, but in the way of glosses and things like that, not lipsticks. This one is Wet n Wild. This is one of their high shine formulas. I used it once and it's the shade Close Off. But to me, this looks like it's going to be a nice like nude, like pinky nude. It comes off really pink on my lips and even kind of pink there. It's just a lot more pink than I was expecting it to be. It's a comfy, nice formula, but just really not the shade that I was hoping it was going to be. I thought it was going to be like a more brown leaning nude. Pinks I don't love on myself. I just really don't love pinks. And so I'm learning that when I'm looking for nudes, they'd have to be like purple leaning or brown leaning, but pink leaning nudes just don't do it for me. And last lip product here, this is Ulta. This is their matte lipstick. That right there should tell you I don't like matte at all. I've had this thing forever. I don't even remember if it was like a gift with purchase, but it straight up smells like a crayon. Like legitimately, when you open a box of crayons, that's what it is. This needs to go. Adios. Okay, so this one is going in the trash just because I think it's gone bad. It's gone wrong. This is the L'Oreal True Match Hyaluronic Tinted Serum. This was in the shade 2-3. I used this last summer, and every single time I use this, compliments, compliments, compliments. So it's a fantastic formula. I still have the light one that I'm using right now. It's starting to become too light. I need to go pick up a new one of these. But as you can see, it's almost gummy. Like it's not liquidy and serumy. It's a science experiment is what that is. Trash. So I've been here, I've talked about this. I'm not a highlighter girly, and if I do wear highlight, I typically like the e.l.f. Halo Glow for a highlight. I do have my ABH highlighter, which I'm loving, but I picked this one up as a travel highlight, thinking that I was in my highlight era, and I wasn't, so I've literally only used this like 2 or 3 times. If you need an affordable highlighter, this is really, really nice. I'm just not going to use it. I'm not going to use it because I'm barely using what I have. Highlight's just not my favorite part of makeup. I do use it, but just I would be perfectly fine without it. I want this to go to a new home. Like I said, I think I swatched it once and used it once. It needs to go to a new home. Somebody who will love it and give it the attention it just so rightly deserves. I picked up this bronzer at TJ Maxx. I have used it a few times. I don't know. The top of it looks a little science experimenty, so I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with it. This is the Morphe bronzer. This is Bronze Show and Touch of Sun. It's pretty orange. It's pretty orange. Even for me who doesn't mind an orange bronzer, it's still pretty orange. Let me see if I can get a swatch there. And it's really not all that. I mean, look at that. That shape looks like yellow. Like, let me get... Like, even on my finger, it looks yellow. It just... And it does take a lot of building. So that's just not a shade for me. It's the formula, and it takes forever to build. And I think that was just hard pan on the top, because after I swatched it with my finger, that science experimenty texture went away. I think it was just a hard pan. So this is dang near full formula. I don't like that shade on me. Staying in the complexion era here, I just want to say I love the Wet n Wild Icon blushes. These are some of my favorites. What I've learned about myself, though, is out of complexion products, as far as bronzer, blush, and highlight, bronzer's my all-time favorite. Absolutely, hands down. If I can only wear one of the 3, it's going to be bronzer, no questions asked. I'm fine without wearing blush. I do enjoy blush. My collection is a little embarrassing, which is funny because as someone who prefers bronzer over blush, I have 3 bronzers and like 9 blushes. It doesn't make any sense, but that's where I'm at right now. So I was looking at my blush collection, and I've got like 3 of them that I've already hit pan on, so I'm just trying to use them up. Otherwise, I would just get rid of them, but my competitive edge is like, finish it, finish it. So I have to finish them. And then after that, I'm fine with my blushes. I really don't want to buy any new blushes right now. I do want to buy new bronzers. I won't until the end of the year, or at least finish the bronzers that I have, which is possible. I just don't want any more blush. And so I went through, and even though I really like this formula, for me it's smooth, it's very, very pigmented. This is just a very, very pink blush, and this is pearlescent pink. I'm just not a very pink blush kind of girl. I am more of a peachy, brown leaning blush. And see, that's just very baby doll pink, and it's very pretty on other people. I just don't enjoy it on myself. I like a nice subtle blush. Like today, my blush is almost brown, so it just looks like an extension of my bronzer, and I freaking am here for it. So this is fine, and it's fairly new too, very affordable, but this is just not a shade I'm not going to use, and I feel bad with it just sitting here, so it's gonna go. I have another blush that, again, is kind of the same situation. I just have so many more that I prefer. This one is still fine. I don't want it to just sit here. It's fairly new. I picked it up earlier in the year when I did a collab video with Miss Laura. You guys can check that out. I can link it down below if you have any interest. But this is the e.l.f. Luminous Putty Blush in the shade Maui. Now, I've used this quite a few times, and I really like it. It is a perfect shade. I'll go ahead and swatch this one for you. Because it's more of like a muted pink, so I'm okay with this one. Like, this is a baby doll pink, this is a muted pink. I don't like a luminous blush. If this wasn't luminous and it was matte, I'm here for it. I wouldn't be getting rid of it, I'd be keeping it. I just don't like luminous blush because I apply my blush in this area right here and pull it up and back. Unfortunately, I have a lot of wrinkles and crow's feet in this area, so anything luminous in this area, wrinkles, here they are, look at them. So I just, it's a very, very luminous, very, look at me, stand out formula, and it's just not jiving with me on how I place my makeup. So this is new. It's been barely touched. I mean, it looks like it's been barely touched. I've used it a few times. I really struggle with my decision to get rid of this one. I may still pull this one back out of the declutter because I do like it. It's just that luminous part. I've tried setting it with powder. It's still just too glowy for my liking. This may or may not stay in the declutter. I don't know. We'll have to come back and update. But as of right now, it's in the declutter. Okay. And now for eyeshadow palettes. Okay, so I've gone a little overboard this year, and I keep purchasing palettes, and I keep purchasing palettes, and I keep purchasing palettes. I don't know where the money is coming from for these palettes. They're somewhere because they're getting paid for. But no, I'm just kidding. I have control of my finances. I'm just teasing. But I'm not overspending in a way that's going to hurt me. I'm good. I'm good. Trust me. Trust me. But I've brought in 9 palettes. 9 palettes since February. So I was like, okay, you brought in 9 have to go out. Well, I did one better and I kicked out 10. 10 palettes, baby. Let's go. So technically this isn't a palette, but it is a single, and it's the ColourPop Super Shock in the shade Basic Instinct. I think this is from the Wild Child collection they did. This is a very beautiful shade, but it is a very dark shade. It's a very dark shimmer. I don't love dark shimmers. I just don't love dark shimmers. And I've used this, I think, twice, and both times the shade is gorgeous, but not on me. Does that make sense? So I'm tired of this beautiful formula sitting in my drawer staring at me. It's gonna go. Next up is the Huda Beauty Coral Obsessions palette. Now, I picked this one up dirt cheap. I have a whole story on this on one of my previous videos. You have to go find it if you're curious. But I originally picked this up for the red and the yellow. I'm a Chiefs fan, and this was before I had any sort of makeup collection. I think I had 2 or 3 palettes to my name. Like, who was I back then? Back then was like 2 years ago. But I needed a red and a yellow to create my Chiefs looks, and I found this for like $3 at Bell's, and it's kind of like a TJ Maxx or a Marshall's. I've used this a few times, and the few times I've used it, I've gotten a compliment every time on my eye look, because these shades just intensify on blue eyes beautifully. I hate this formula. I hate the formula. Some shades are too pigmented, others are not enough. This red shears out into like a super light peachy pink. No matter how much you pack it, the best you're gonna get is this. So that really frustrated me. The yellow has very little to no pigment, but then these shimmers, so this one and this one, are so saturated and so pigmented, they overtake the look. And there's no shade deep enough in here for an outer corner shade for me. So as many compliments as I get on this, I don't love using this palette. It doesn't have what I need. It doesn't perform like I like. There's no reason to keep it because it's just not working for me, so it's gotta go. This one I found at TJ Maxx earlier in the year, and I really wanted to try this brand's eyeshadow palette. I've actually gotten into some of their lip products at this point, but this is the Winter Beach one by Lawless. Okay, so this one, it's half fantastic, half okay. The reason it's half okay is because of these blue shades. Now, I just don't typically gravitate towards blue, and it's just not my favorite color to wear. Even though the looks I've created with these 3 shades are beautiful. They came out beautiful. This palette performs very, very well. These 3 shades are hard for me to use. And then the rest of these shades are like every other neutral palette in my collection. So what am I keeping this one for? I don't know. I think it's just because it's my only palette from the brand, but I think I've satisfied my curiosity, and even though this performs well, the formula is great, the colors are great, their formula is just not top of the line for me. It's not one I'm going to go out and try and hunt down and pick out. And, you know, I did miss out on their Dreamy Dozen palette, but if that formula is like this one, I think I'm okay. I think I'm all right with just moving on from Lawless's eyeshadow palettes and just sticking with their lip products. So yeah, I just, between eliminating these 3 shades, because I just don't use them often, these browns are a dime a dozen in my collection. It's time to let go. So I have 2 of these. These are drugstore. They're both Wet n Wild. The first one here is Walking on Eggshells, and the other one is Sundays. So here's the thing about these 2 is they are good for the drugstore. Walking on Eggshells is the top and Sundays is the bottom. They're good for drugstore. The problem is I've been spoiled by a lot more. Just a lot more. I've been exposed to, I've indulged in a lot more formulas. So a year ago, before I reached into all these other brands, all these other palettes, these would have been like, yeah, Die Hard. But they're just not Die Hard formulas for me anymore. Now, if I was in a pinch and all I had was Walgreens, I'm not even sure I would still pick these up. I don't know. I'm over these. I think the color stories are really pretty. But I don't want to use them. I don't gravitate towards them. When I use them, they perform well. So it's hard to be like mad at them. There's more formulas I prefer because of my exposure to these other brands. So it's just time to let these guys go. This one didn't surprise me, but it might surprise you. I'm getting rid of a Natasha Denona palette. I know, right? I'm letting go of my Peak palette, okay? I was ride or die for this until I used this earlier in the year. And I've talked about it a couple times already, but this shade blends out a completely different color for me. It looks like a pinky mauve color in the pan, but it blends out very peachy, very similar to my shirt. It's very warm toned. I don't know if it's my skin tone that changed it, but I have reds now in other palettes. This shimmer is just like a champagne shimmer. This is, and I have these 2 other colors 100 times over in my collection. I don't gravitate towards it. I'm not excited to use it. It's time to let it go. All right, Pat McGrath. I know. Star Wars Sith Seduction palette. It's a little messy. I apologize. I did not have time to clean it before we started this video. But this is an all shimmer palette. I tried really hard to make this a companion palette. I can do it. I don't like to do it. I'm learning I don't like dark shimmers. 3 out of 5 are dark shimmers, and these other 2 I have 100 times over. Let me explain something. When I'm talking about these cool tone shimmers I have 100 times over, I'm specifically thinking about the Glam palette. This is what I'm actually wearing today. This has 5 mattes and the rest are shimmers. Look at all of these shimmers. These 3, these 2, this whole bottom row. So if you look at this, the only 2 shimmers that I'm loving out of this palette right now are the top and bottom one. They're in this palette. I don't need this one. I'm struggling to use it. It's time to let it go. Another Pat McGrath, y'all. I'm sorry. The other one, Bronze Bliss, I think. Yeah, Bronze Bliss. Okay. Same kind of concept here. 4 shimmers, 1 matte black. I have matte black 150,000 times over. And these shimmers, we just saw it in the Glam palette. We just saw it. I have these already. I'm tired of trying to make this a companion palette. I really did make an effort. I can't do it. I'm a 1 palette at a time kind of girl. This is going. This is another one I struggled with getting rid of because I feel... Well, let me just tell you. It's the Black Magic palette. These 3 right here, I'm gathering my thoughts and trying to make appropriate words come together. These 3 right here are duochromes. Right now we can see green, we can see yellow, and we can see pink. But they shift to blue, kind of like a orangey, and then this one shifts to like a rose gold. Let me see if I can, there we go. So there's a shift there. Here's the thing. I have a certain feeling about chromes, duochromes, multichromes. I've got a feeling about chromes. They're not my favorite, which is funny because I just picked up an indie brand palette from NC Rain and it's full of the chromes. That's a story for another day. I'm not a huge fan of duochromes. So that kind of eliminates these three shades, which leaves this one and this one. And hey, guess what? We just saw that in the Glam palette. I have these matte tones 1,000 times over. It's time to go. It's just time to go. I have to force myself to use it. That's not fair to me or him. We're going to find him a new home. And last but not least, and the inspiration for this declutter, unfortunately, is the Urban Decay Naked Reloaded palette. Now, I used this. This was in my May rotation for my neutrals palettes. I used this palette once in that rotation, and at that point decided to declutter. It was a beautiful look. It took over 30 minutes to get that look. How do I know it took that long? Because I have a 30-minute lunch break, and as soon as I sat down for my lunch break, I started on my eyeshadow, and I didn't finish it before I had to clock back in. Went back to work, halfway done. So, I guess thank goodness I work from home because I look like a dang lunatic. I don't think it's gone bad. I don't think the formula is expired. I think it's just a formula that I don't like. I don't get along with it. I had a friend use this to see if she agreed that it was the formula, and she loved it. But her collection is significantly smaller than mine. I'm talking like, I think she's got 4 palettes, and she loved this. So I'm probably going to give it to her. So I don't think it's necessarily the formula. I think it's just coming, kind of what I said earlier about Wet n Wild. I'm just spoiled by better formulas. So while this is a beautiful color story, again, I have these shades over and over. I don't want to use it. It was too hard to work with. I have shades that just perform much easier for me in this color story. So it is going. Okay guys, so I got rid of 4 lip products, a foundation, 2 blushes, a highlight, a bronzer, and 10 eyeshadow products. That is success. That is success. Now I must say that this update to this declutter and the incoming palettes, so I have to show you this. Hang on. If you're following any of my other videos, like my No Pan Left Behind, I'll update you on that video as well. But I keep track of my makeup purchases and whatnot, and I just had to share with you guys. This is so funny. So before any of my new palettes and before this declutter, I had a total of 71 products. Products included like eyeshadow sticks and singles, right? And it was a total of 728 pans. So after I updated my master sheet to have these decluttered and put in my new palettes, I have 70 products. So I'm down 1 product. But I have 798 pans. So even though I'm down a product, I have gained like 80 pans. And I'm like, oh man. So I don't know what this looks like yet for my No Pan Left Behind project. I just thought I'd throw that in here because that's wild to me. When I did that new master sheet, I was like, oh, hi, hello. That's, wow. Yeah. So just really felt like this declutter was necessary. Again, I was just kind of feeling inspired in a very decluttery kind of moment. So I took advantage. We rolled. We did it. I got rid of 10 palettes and a bunch of other things. So I'm feeling really good about it. So of course, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I sure appreciate you, and I will catch you in my next one. Later much.